It's been 2 years since the last time the Avengers and Thor all assembled together to stop Ultron back in Sokovia. It's now present day and Thor has been having frequent dreams about an ancient prophecy known as Ragnarok. In the prophecy, Thor's home planet, Asgard, is destroyed by an enormous titan named Surtur. Hoping to prevent the prophecy, Thor allows himself to be captured. The titan informs Thor that with his capture and Odin's recent disappearance, Asgard is completely defenseless. And he will finally be able to complete the prophecy once he unites his crown with the eternal flame in Odin's vault. Thor laughs after successfully tricking the Titan into revealing his role in the prophecy. Then Thor frees himself and takes the Titan's crown, believing he has stopped the Ragnarok prophecy. But later, when Thor finds his father, Odin explains that Thor's efforts to prevent Ragnarok were useless because the prophecy has already started. Odin then reveals he's dying, and with his death, Thor's older sister Hela will be released. Odin explains Hela was once his general, but after her appetite for violence grew out of control, he locked her away and erased her from history. He warns Thor of the limitless power Hela will possess back in Asgard, and once she's home she will be unstoppable with him gone. After warning Thor of the pending doom, Odin finally passes. Then Thor and Loki prepare for battle with Hela. She arrives and she immediately displays her strength as she catches and destroys Thor's hammer effortlessly. They try to escape by using the Bifrost Bridge. But Hela is relentless in her pursuit. She eventually forces them out into space, and then she continues on her way to Asgard. Arriving in Asgard, Hela doesn't waste any time as she single-handedly annihilates Odin's entire army. Elsewhere, Thor finally lands on a planet, completely surrounded by garbage and massive wormholes. He's quickly captured by the natives, but ultimately he's freed and recaptured by a former Asgardian soldier, who's now known as Scrapper 142. She uses a small electrical disc to shock and control Thor. 142 is a slave trader and she plans on selling Thor as a fighter, where he will be forced to compete in arena combat. At Thor's debut match, he's to fight the Grandmaster, current champion. Loki has befriended the Grandmaster, arriving on the planet days before Thor. Thor's excited discovering the Hulk is his opponent. Thor doesn't realize the Hulk hasn't been Banner since fleeing Earth over 2 years ago. And the Hulk has been enjoying his reign as champion. The Hulk doesn't waste any time trying to defeat Thor. Thor eventually gets the upper hand using lightning to stun the Hulk. But before he can finish him, the Grandmaster intervenes and activates Thor's electrical disc, which incapacitates Thor, but assures Hulk's victory. Not long after their fight, Thor is able to get the electrical disc controller from 142. After freeing himself, he escapes to the Quinjet Hulk used to leave Earth. The Hulk follows Thor, and inadvertently he destroys the jet trying to get Thor to stay, so Thor uses a recording of Natasha to subdue the Hulk, and he eventually begins to transform back into Banner. Eventually Thor convinces 142 and Banner to help him escape. They steal the Grandmaster's ship and the trio escapes the planet through a wormhole. Before Thor left, he freed the other slaves. Now that they're free, the gladiators are preparing to hijack a ship. But before they board the ship, they stumble upon Loki. Thor anticipated Loki's betrayal, so he used his electrical disc to incapacitate him. They offer Loki assistance and a ride. Loki accepts their help and he offers to lead them. Back on Asgard, Hela uses the internal flame to resurrect the dead and build an army. She plans on using the Bifrost Bridge to expand her empire beyond the current 9 realms. The remaining Asgardians are being led across the Bifrost by Heimdall. Hela's army shows up and blocks their escape. They're after the sword that Heimdall took that controls the Bifrost Bridge. As Hela's army begin their attack, 142 and Banner show up and help the fleeing Asgardians. Loki and the gladiators arrive with the ship they hijacked. They use the stolen ship to help evacuate Asgard. Meanwhile, Thor is no match for Hela as she manages to severely damage his right eye. Essentially, she has him beat. But then Thor begins to focus and he's eventually able to channel his powers without his hammer. He uses a lightning strike to stop Hela. Then he turns his attention towards stopping her army so the remaining Asgardians can finally escape. Hela recovers from Thor's powerful attack and Thor reveals he hit her with everything he had. Thor finally realizes his dreams weren't about stopping Ragnarok but about stopping his sister by allowing the prophecy to happen. So he sends Loki to retrieve Surtur's crown from Odin's vault. Loki places the crown in the eternal flame, and the Titan Surtur is reborn. The Titan finally completes the prophecy, destroying Asgard and ultimately killing Hela too. Thor and the remaining Asgardians watch as the Ragnarok prophecy is finally completed and Asgard is destroyed. With the threat finally ended, Thor prepares to lead his people to a new home. Ragnarok is a light-hearted movie with an underdeveloped plot, so the movie relies heavily on recycled storylines, and repeatedly trolls the main character just to push the story along. The villain along with most of the supporting cast are forgettable before the ending credits even roll. In short, Ragnarok can be summed up as a parody of an end-of-the-world movie, with more humor than drama. As the writers put more effort into making Thor the butt of the jokes than convincing us of the seriousness of the impending doom. Even though the title of the movie literally translates into the destruction of Thor's home planet and people. Thor becomes a victim of his character quirkiness, so when he warns of the impending destruction no one cares.
I'll listen to you till this is empty.
Asgard is in danger. If people are dying, we need to get back there and need your help.
Finished. Bye.
In the end, Ragnarok was a missed opportunity for Thor's character development. With such a grim plot, you would think the writers would focus on finally giving Thor's character some much needed depth. Instead, they completely ignored the tone of the movie, and what they delivered was an unofficial Comedy Central roast, with Thor being the walking punchline. Ragnarok appears to be just another Marvel filler movie made to set up the opening scene for Infinity War, where Thanos quickly finishes off the remaining Asgardians, and within the first few minutes of the movie he completely erases Thor's previous effort and sacrifice to save his people, ultimately making Ragnarok a pointless movie. On another note, we can all agree it's been well established that Thor is one of the strongest characters in the MCU, and his body is the perfect conduit for electricity. His powers are literally manufacturing lightning out of thin air, so why would a small electrical device emitting an electrical shock be effective at stopping Thor?
Bruh.